What's up, folks? Another episode of Baby D, the Hemi Dakota. So last time we put a camshaft in, big old comp camshaft. I think because there is a back order on so many parts and pieces, I kind of want to pull the rods and pistons out, but yet there is a problem with that, and that is that these are one-time use torque to yield bolts in here. And the reason I was thinking about pulling the pistons out, open up the ring gap, I know I really should. I've got some ARP rod bolts on the way, but unfortunately it's going to be a little while. Not their fault. I love the folks at ARP. I've used their stuff in everything on the Top Fuel car, and it's awesome. But if you can't get material, you can't make bolts. But what I want to do tonight is get the oil pan on, and what that requires is a different oil pump pickup tube. So this motor coming out of a Dodge Charger had a front sump, which means that this pickup tube went right here, and the sump was on the front of the engine. And when we put it in Baby D, it needed a rear sump, which means it's got to have this. So this I ordered through Parts Plus, and it's a rear sump. So okay, simple enough. It's a single bolt, it's an O-ring, no big deal. But what I do have to do was I ordered from Dodge a main stud. The main stud, I'll find it here in a second. The main stud, I got to take this one out of number 4 main, and it not only holds the main cap on, it has a stud off the top of it that holds the oil pump pickup on. Alright, I went and found the stud, so that's it. Goes in here, oil pump pickup tube on top of it, boop, all good. Now where I'm probably going to get beat up about doing this is I'm only going to change this one stud. I'm only going to take that one bolt out. I'm not disturbing that bolt, and Hemi has side bolts, and it's really funny to me how close some of this is to the Top Fuel car. The Top Fuel car's got standard billet aluminum blocks, have two main studs where this has bolts, and it's got side bolts. This is the same way that the Top Fuel motor is in a Allen Johnson Hemi. But like I said, I'm probably going to get beat up a little bit because I'm just going to pull this one out. I'm not going to disturb the other bolt or the side bolts. I don't see with side bolts how the main cap can move, so I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that. But that's what I'm fixing to do. So then, well, we'll get into that. It's not as simple as just boop, boop, done, because I am piecing this together and not really had a roadmap, so to speak, to go on for putting this truck pan on, which I don't even remember what model truck pan it is, but anyway, let's get busy. All right, so these new motors are, for the most part, like I was saying, they have torque to yield bolts, torque to yield bolts, and so I've already torqued this one in. The torque specs on this thing are 20 pounds and 90 degrees. Because I've, there's a lot of tools in this shop, but I do not have one of the torque meters here yet. I will get myself one, but 20 foot-pounds and 90 degrees. So what I did was I took a black Sharpie and made a mark straight back that way and I also made a black Sharpie mark here. So I've got to turn this bolt 90 degrees, and that's it. And then we'll be able to put the oil pump pickup on. So I do not like exceeding the torque. Like if you've got it set at 20 pounds, don't use this thing to tighten more than that. So what I did was just crank this big old wrench right here all the way up. So I'm just going to get it to click right where it's straight back. This is a well-used wrench. That's too far. I don't like that either. I don't like that either. All right. So I'm just going to rotate this 90 degrees. Bring my Sharpie mark to the other Sharpie mark. Just like that. Just like that. It's actually good. I just gotta give it just a little more. I like doing it all in one sweep. I missed it just a little bit. So you can see right there what I did. Rotated 90 degrees. And that should do it. That should have us torqued and ready to put the oil pump pickup tube in. So let's move on to that. All right, in the last Baby D video, it was kind of fun for me. I hope y'all enjoyed. I had read through some comments and talked about or answered whatever. Nothing too crazy technical. If y'all want that really technical about the Top Fuel Car thing, that is an Angry Hornet thing to do. Justin Hofelt does the short blocks on the Top Fuel Car. I should have him here doing this actually. He has a good channel called Angry Hornet, and that's kind of what he does. He answers a lot of questions about what goes on with the Top Fuel Car, and that's kind of one of his things on his channel that's really, really cool. But I got some questions I want to answer, and we're going to do that. Let me just look here. George, nope, that's not George. Greg E. Why are some crew members wearing masks while others are not? Well, I can tell you this. I have always wore one because sitting in the car during the warm-up, and those of y'all that don't know, Top Fuel Car runs on nitromethane, and nitromethane is very acidic. That's a pretty big word for a country boy, acidic. In other words, it will make you absolutely cry. It'll make your nose run, make your eyes water. When you breathe it, that's a good way to put it. It's very acidic. And I have always wore one because sitting in the car, I can't get away from it. A crew guy that doesn't wear a mask, I really don't know why everybody wouldn't, because like I said, that stuff just smells so bad. Oh, it's horrible. They can kind of sneak away and get away from the yellow fog and maybe catch a breath, you know, and dive back in there, sitting in the car. You can't get away from it. I was watching Austin Prock when he drove the car. He didn't have one. I'm like, dude, you trying to be an old school tough guy or what? And he's like, no, man, I left my gas mask. He forgot it. So some guys wear it because they want to breathe, and some guys don't because they're tougher than I am. That's all I can tell you about that. Greggy, thanks for commenting, liking, subscribing, sharing, all those things on the channel. So if you were watching there, you saw I put a little lube on the threads, on everything, some lube on the O-ring. Excuse me. I am not going to final tighten this yet because I'm pretty sure, maybe, not really pretty sure, I got to get the windage tray. I don't think that the windage tray will go on with that on there. Got to find that out. We'll figure that out here in a minute. All right, just as I suspected, this has got to go on first. No big deal. I hadn't tightened everything up. So I wanted to talk about this real quick. It's pretty cool. The old way of doing windage trays on a big block Chrysler, whether it be a 440, 383, 400, or 426 Hemi, was you put a gasket on, you put your windage tray on, you put a gasket on, then your oil pan, and you sandwich this windage tray in there. These things are pretty cool. This is a Felpro one right here, and the gasket is made on the windage tray. Man, it makes installation super duper easy, and I like it. So it's pretty cool how they do that now. It's just got the gasket made right to it, which is pretty dang cool. Sure does make it a lot simpler than the old way. And the old 440 stuff, and again, I keep saying 440 because I worked on more of them than anything when I was a sportsman racer. This thing, with the way the oil pump pickup goes in there, the old 440, it actually screwed in, and you would have this whole thing rotating around because the rear sump is much more ideal for drag racing. And the reason for that being is obviously the acceleration. When you hit the pedal, stomp on that loud pedal. Uh-oh. Sorry about that. That was a long distance phone call from right over there in the house. That was Donna checking to make sure I didn't have the back gate open so she could let Iggy and Millie out, because they have no comeback. In other words, if you call them, they don't come back. They are absolutely wild. I don't know if y'all have seen them on any of my other social media stuff. Our two little miniature bull terriers are absolutely crazy. Millie, come here, Millie. Come here, Millie. She's my little shot dog for sure. She loves staying outside. Iggy is much more of an AC kind of dog. That boy is spoiled and stays in the house all the time. Again, not final tightening, none of that. What we are going to do here, and I saw this with our buddies on Finnegan's Garage, Mike Finnegan and David Newbern, and every now and then old wild man Mike Cotton, while they were battling, trying to get an LS motor into their jet boat. You got to measure from here to here, and then that same depth on the oil pan. I think it needs to be around 3/8, somewhere in there, from the bottom of the oil pan to the pickup. You need a little bit of room, but not too much. Now I got to figure out how to measure that up right quick, and that's what we're fixing to do. All right, y'all. I think I got this figured out how we're going to do this. Got a couple of straight edges, rulers. Hold that right over that. Look right across here. And we are, I mean, just a skosh less than 6.5. Just a little bit less than 6.5. So now we got to do the same thing to the oil pan. And we will know if it'll work. I guess I could do this just for fun. I have not even made sure. Who knows? Maybe it won't even sit down on there. Nope, sits down, I think. Yeah, it's on there. I can tell y'all the country boy thing I'm fixing to do right now. And that is take a peep through the oil drain plug. Why not? Why not? get a real visual as to what's happening in there. Might as well answer another one. And golly, I'm gonna have to actually get this piece of paper over here. Mark Van Eiderstein. What's the crew? Wow, dang, Mark Van Eiderstein. Mark Van Eiderstein. What is the crew doing while the car is on the jack stands when they start it? Well, essentially what's happening when they start the Parts Plus Top Fuel car while sitting on the jack stands is a variety of things. Throw that right on the floor. What they are doing, a couple of things. Probably one of the most important things, especially after you just did, you know, like a 45-50 minute engine rebuild, is checking for leaks, checking for oil pressure, and setting the timing. And at one point, you will see Mike Klober, my crew chief, come in front of the car, and you'll see a couple of hand signals. One, he'll do that, and that is so I can check forward and reverse. Make sure that the car has ample clutch pack gap so that we have a neutral. And then the other thing he'll do, he'll give me a number 2. And what that means is I'm gonna grab a handful of brake, I'm gonna turn the fuel pump all the way on, I'm gonna take my foot off the clutch, and they're going to get a few measurements off of that of how far the engine RPM comes down when the clutch is out and the wheels are not spinning. That is just a couple of the things they're doing while the car's on the jack stand and warming it up. They're just basically doing a full systems test, making it really simple. Mark, thanks for the question, and let's see if we got some clearance on the old oil pump pickup. I am not a country music listener, but I can tell you I know the song, the Hank Williams, I guess Hank Williams Jr., Country Boy Can Survive. So this is how I couldn't tell if the oil pump pickup was hitting or not, and shining a flashlight in there kind of filled the hole up. So this is one way to go about checking that. Country boy kind of way. Make sure all my bolt holes are lined up. And now let's take a peep in there. Well, I can tell you for sure it is not hitting. Still going to measure it up and check it out. But I have found a lot of things in the bottom end of a engine. First on a cell phone though. I don't know how we survived without them. All these cell phones are awesome and a hindrance and a pain sometimes. But now I'm gonna measure the depth of that, see if it's just a skosh less than 6.5. But I do know it's got clearance. Clearance. All right, put my measuring skills to work in here. Probably a little more than it should be. Like 7/16, something like that. Kind of in that neighborhood. It's hard to get a real accurate measurement because this is not flat, it slopes. So 7/16 to a half. That's where it's at. And now the next thing, I'm gonna grab something and show y'all right quick. Back here in the parts bin, back of the truck. So this is the pan that come off this thing, which is really cool. Cast aluminum, really freaking heavy. Even had bolt holes that bolted up to the bell housing on the transmission. Again, this is the front sump deal. But kind of what I was thinking is I've lost some weight. And not me, but the oil pan. Got a horsefly after me. But I bet my bolts aren't going to be too long. Have to wait and see. I've just about made up my mind that I'm going to weld a little plate, something in here. Basically, for drag racing, again, this thing will be awesome for accelerating because the oil's going to be all back here. But I've run into this on not only the Top Fuel car, but some of my Super Comp cars with 440s in them. When you pile on the brakes really hard, the oil will gush back to the front. And this, looking at that stock oil pan that came on here, that kind of jarred my memory of that. It has a little plate that's attached to the oil pan. I think I better do that because while yes, my whole goal in this truck is going and spinning tires and stomping on the loud pedal and swapping gears, I will be plowing on the brakes from time to time too. And we're waiting on other parts to come in. So I think that's probably the smartest thing for me to do, because while I know I'm gonna hurt this thing, why should I hurt it on something that I know is going to be a problem, where I could just take a little piece of thin sheet metal and weld it in there, basically make a place for the oil to catch when you pile the brakes on. And that's probably a good idea. So I think I'll do that. So I think we'll just cut the video off here. Not a very exciting video, that's for dang sure, but it's an oiling situation. We have a situation that we probably should take care of before it becomes a problem. As always, folks, thanks for liking, subscribing, sharing, and especially commenting. I kind of enjoy answering them because I'm out here by myself, and I just went and wrote some of these things down, and I enjoy answering them. It gives me something to talk about while we're putting this thing together. And I don't know what else to tell you other than we got an oiling situation and we need to take care of it. See you guys soon. Appreciate you tuning in.